Scott's quote. He says, I just hopped on, so I know very little of what's being said, but it seems that Edwards owned slaves. Yes, he did. But the slave trade was alive and well then. Who's to say he didn't get slaves to treat them well and Christian-like? Over another person they may treat said slave harshly. I'm just saying maybe it's something more pondering. Not sure. What do you guys think about that possibility? It's still sin, brother. It's still sin. It's no different if I know that you had a dog and somebody stole your dog, and I bought the dog, and I took care of the dog as if it was family. Did I still sin by knowing that that dog did not belong to me, but it belonged to you? Anything that I do not own, just because somebody gave it to me, and I know that it was stolen goods, that's sin. It's sin. It's no different if I'm in a car with somebody and I know they're about to rob the bank. Well, I didn't go in there pointing the gun to tell them, Your Honor, I was just in the car. I was just keeping the engine running. You're guilty by association. You're guilty by, by proxy. If you know that. But let me read some more. This is again, and actually Alex McLeod. He kind of touches on that, and so let me kind of like give you an excerpt of what he means by that. Here's the last objection number 6. It said, I abhor the principle. Here's in response to what you were mentioning, Scott Aniski, and kind of like in the context of what you're saying about Jonathan Edwards. The objection says, I abhor the principle. The practice of importing and selling men is detestable. But here they are. We found them slaves. We're not obliged at the expense of our property to set them at liberty. The community in general will not consent to it. They will therefore be slaves. I want a servant. I may purchase and hold a slave. His condition would not be rendered worse by serving me. I am bound to treat him mercifully, but as masters are now situated, there can be no evil in my keeping him in bondage. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? So people like Jonathan Edwards, people that may have treated their slaves right, they would object and say, wait a minute, I abhor the slave trade, but I got them. I mean, I bought them. I'm not treating them bad. I'm not treating them wrong. I'm taking care of them. I'm treating them as, as my own or whatever, but they're still my slave. Here's what the author says in response to that. If men were not strongly influenced by interested motives, they could not impose so far on their own understandings as to give indulgence to the principle contained in this objection. A long continuance of evil doing will change the nature of wrong unto right. Oh man, I gotta say that again. A long continuance of evil doing will change the nature of wrong unto right. If so, there is an end to the distinction between virtue and vice. Your fathers left the Negroes in bondage as an inheritance to you. Does this justify you in retaining them? No. If the first stealer and the first buyer acted contrary to justice, the constant retainer cannot be guiltless. You condemn the principle, but justify the practice. Act consistently, I beseech you. Touch not, taste not, handle not the unclean thing. Let me call your attention to another fact. You have a slave of 30 years of age in your possession. He was born in your house. By natural laws, and according to the first principles of civil liberty, he was born equally free with your son, who has upon him committed the robbery by which he has been deprived of his natural rights. Yourself, lay not the blame on your parents, for you imitate their example. The text applies to you directly. You have stolen from his connections, from himself, a man born in your house. Have you purchased him? You have countenanced an impious commerce. The best reparation you can make is to set your slave at liberty. You cannot afford to perform acts of such extensive benevolence. Do justice, however. Deal mercifully with your servant. When the wages which he might have annually earned shall have amounted to the purchase money and lawful interest, set him immediately at liberty from your control. If you are a worthy character, he shall afterwards voluntarily serve you, unless he be ungrateful indeed, provided you give him due wages. After confessing the system to be indefensible, it is to be hoped you would not give your suffrages to render it permanent.